Alright, so I'm here to finally make a vid that I've been close to making on real life 3 different occasions. I'm from Charlotte. I'm forever a Carolina boy. Cameron Jerrell Newton is a king in my city for mainly ones around my age and who look like me. Now he wasn't perfect. Feel me, I'd never argue that. I just don't like when y'all outright lie about him and his talent. And that's why I've come here today. Now, this is 100% as calm as I'll probably be for the rest of this video. The topic at large is a convo honestly spurred by Cam himself with some of his comments. A Jalen Hurts versus Cam Newton convo came about as a result. Now, while that debate itself ain't even why I'm truly here, I will absolutely let it be known that I don't think no version of Jalen Hurts, is better than Cam at his best. But what's pissed me off has come as a result of this overall debate. It's folks out here saying that even at his peak, Cam Newton wasn't that good, wasn't that impressive, and have been spreading lies to feed into their agendas. I will not let nobody lie and completely downplay my quarterback. I won't. As someone who sat down and watched the good, the bad, and the ugly from Cam, it infuriates me what I hear. And I truly believe that more than anything, his career is one full of tragedy and mismanagement. So let's do it. I really have nothing to say about college Cam. Everybody know at this point that Cam Newton is one of the best, greatest college players ever. Even the little TikTok boppers know these, and it's probably the literal only thing that the consensus can agree on when it comes to the player we're currently discussing. So I'll just jump straight to what his college work set up. Him being taken first overall in 2011 by the 2-14 Carolina Panthers, where actually, funny enough, he had one of his better overall supporting casts on offense. Steve Smith, the double trouble duo of D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, Greg Olsen's here, as well as Jeremy Shockey on his literal last leg, and a pretty decent offensive line headlined by Ryan Khalil and Jordan Gross. Cam came in day one and was on that. You understand, went for 400 plus in his first 2 games. The first and only QB to do that, by the way. It was just a sign of what was to come that year. It was the best season of his career when it come to passing yardage with 4,051 yards, which at the time was the all-time rookie record, with 21 tugs. Dual threat, of course. Adding on just over 700 yards with 14 more scores. Took Carolina's offense from 31st to 4th. All this earned him Offensive Rookie of the Year. Now, Carolina still only went 6-10. For surely was an improvement from 2 dubs and that hope for your offense to significantly improve after drafting the Heisman winning quarterback came to fruition. Was Cam perfect? Of course not. He did throw 17 pickaroos. And in late game situations where there were opportunities to win, he ain't really come through often to win them games. Cool. The real problem in the city was that the 2011 Panther defense was truly abominable. The worst during Cam's entire initial Panther tenure. Jesus, it was bad. But there was obviously a lot of hope moving forward. Your doo-doo-ness allowed for another top 10 selection. You go ahead and draft who should have been a first ballot hauler, but I digress. As well as a quite brash corner in the 5th round who turned out to be pretty good too. To call a spade, 2012 was horrid. They were competitive for the most part, sure. But regardless, don't nobody care. They started 2-8, not good. But the second half of that season was much better. Everything for Cam and the team improved. He was completing passes at a high clip. The touchdown to interception ratio was 13-4, and Carolina ended the year going 5-1, finishing 79 overall. Missed the offs though, but that stretch and the momentum it garnered was beneficial. More improvements were made to the roster that summer, specifically defensively. The Hog Molly agenda, shout out Dave Gettleman, I guess, was in full effect, and they double dipped in the first 2 rounds. Praying for a similar outcome from this year's double dip in Jesus' name. With Star Lotulelei and K'Wan Short, it was finally time for Carolina to take that step. But first, Carolina had to have an awful start to their season, 1-3. But what would follow was one of the best and most memorable stretches of Cam's career. Went back-to-back beating the Niners and outdueled Thomas Brady on national television. Led game winning drives in both them Jones too. Great times. Cam was great. This year he did see another dip in passing yards, but was a career year in terms of completion percentage and tuds. But it was defensively where the Panthers were finally competent. Way more than competent, for real. They were elite. All leading to the first division title in the Superman era. Obviously made the playoffs and hosted the Niners, who unfortunately did get their get back ending my boys' season. But it seemed as though Carolina had finally arrived. They didn't. This time, honestly, really started the whole deficient weapon thing for real, cause the team moved off Steve Smith, which he made them boys feel pretty early on in the following year. Otherwise, the 2014 season from this team is one of the wildest sports-related things of my lifetime. Has to be. Before I get into why, Cam just had an awful year here. His ankle was cooked, so he got off-season surgery on that. In the preseason, he fractured a rib, so he missed week 1. And even when he came back, they were garbage juice. Then early in December, this man low-key probably should have died from quite the gnarly car crash. Not Superman though. Missed him a couple weeks, came back and grinded out a couple revolting wins. The Panthers went 7-8-1 and won the division. This was during the time where the South was so bad that it wasn't funny. You feel me? I'm laughing right now, but it wasn't funny. And that record won you the division. Due to the terrible way the NFL handles its seeding, Carolina hosted a playoff game with a sub-500 record and won, giving Cam his first playoff win. But they got disrespectfully whooped by Seattle the following week. The trials and tribulations of that season still somehow led to a playoff berth and win. Carolina and Ace Boogie went ahead and re-upped on a 5-year worth basically 104 M's. Now it's time I start getting pissed. Outside of the contract, the big news of Carolina's offseason was Kelvin Benjamin tearing his ACL. The #1 receiver in the city went down, and so did public expectations because the receiver room was left in shambles. Still got you a great, consistent weapon in Greg Olsen, which is great. Nice. But you don't expect much from an offense that looked like this, weapon-wise. Well, in 2015, this team had the highest scoring offense in the NFL and included Cam's absolute best stretch of his career. A 12-game run putting down 37 tuds to 7 total turnovers. This was Super Cam, whooping up on defenses with the exaggerated swagger of a black team. Cam brought Carolina incredible motion. Was so good that white middle-aged mothers was dabbing. Had the racist fans throwing fits daily. 3,837 yards through the air and another 636 on the ground. Accounted for 45 total touchdowns, led the team in rushing TDs too. That combined with the 15-1 record earned Cam MVP. Deservedly so. The offs was like, had a bye and then managed to both decimate and barely beat Seattle in the divisional. Something that Carolina actually did a couple different times that year. Everything came together though in the bludgeoning of the Cardinals in the NFC Championship. Cam put down 4 tuds and a 49-15 beatdown. This was genuinely one of the best nights of my life. All for it to come crashing down a couple weeks later. The Broncos had the league MVP and most prolific scoring offense of that season in hell. Not gonna lie, I knew very early on Carolina was destined to lose this joint, I ain't lying. Committing dumb penalties, the Broncos forced a fumble and batted the ball backwards, which ain't legal, giving them the rock inside the 10. Jericho Cotchery caught the ball, but they ruled it incomplete. It just wasn't meant to be. That aside, every offensive weakness this team had, Denver was able to exploit. The weaponry just wasn't good. They were very keen in on G-Red and were more than confident to just let the no-fly zone do what they did against that receiving corps. The suspect tackle play, which Mike Remmers, I do borderline hate you, but I really can't even be that mad at him because Ron Rivera and Mike Shula had him on the island with prime Von Miller. Von caused enough havoc in the first half, I thought, but nothing about the game plan changed after halftime, and it led to the play that ruined everything. Vaughn got the cam and stripped him for the second time. Late game, chance to win. Ball on the ground and he ain't jump on it. Jumped away from it even. This real life ruined everything. Should he have jumped on it? Yes. He know it. I know it. But I truly do think that this one play is a tad overblown. In the eyes of many, it's the only thing remembered from an all-time season in regards to a QB putting an offensive unit on his back. Some will say due to this play it was all for naught. Rubbish. But where niggas completely and utterly lose me is in their attempts to diminish this season through genuinely rewriting history. Dawg, in a 10-year span, I watched the Carolina Panthers go from the worst, most overrated undefeated team to some incredibly stacked super team on paper. Yo, no lie, every week I heard that Carolina was the worst insert number in O team, cause you know they started 14-0. The 10-0 Panthers were the underdogs against the 3-7 Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. People were not moved by this team for literally almost the whole season. And some of it was understandable. You feel me? Going into the year, you lose your best receiver. Cam pretty good, we knowing that, but ain't nobody expecting the kind of year he ended up having. Whole time too. The first few weeks of the season weren't that impressive. Cam wasn't performing OD and beating the Jags, Texans, Saints, and Bucks in okay fashion wasn't really moving nobody. Now week 6 going into Seattle was nice, but still, the world was not moved or giving Carolina that respect until they sodomized Arizona on such a grand stage. And the biggest thing, the weaponry was dog water. I'm once again gonna tell you that Cam was out there throwing to a wide receiving core of Ted Ginn Jr., Philly Brown, a rookie Devin Funchess, Jericho Cotry, and Brenton Burson. Y'all don't know who Corey Brown is, bro. You don't. You absolutely don't know Brenton Burson. He was only even on the team because he had connections to Jerry Richardson, went to Wofford, all that. A unit averaged 31 points a game over 16 games, and their number one receiver put up 700 yards. Ted genuinely could have had a real good season, but he wasn't that good. He dropped. I'm talking about dropped numerous walk-in touchdowns. I done heard niggas slander Xavier Legette for months. Deserved. I'm not excusing it because he obviously had some nasty drops. But that was a 23, 24-year-old rookie. Ted Ginn was 30 in year 9. Nah, I ain't got no reasons to lie. I won't leave no stone unturned when it comes to the facts. The Carolina defense that year was most notably leading the league in takeaways. Thieves' Ave was in full effect. So prolific that the 39 turnovers they forced that year, a team ain't matched that number since. Obviously did a phenomenal work in limited opponent scoring and setting the offense up with good field position. Cool. On the defensive side of the rock, the Pro Bowls and All-Pro nods were more than deserved. But that offense, they was so good and productive that they was handing out them Pro Bowls as a way to justify what they was out there doing. You can't have an offense doing this, a 15-1 team without a boatload of Pro Bowlers, right? You can't have an Atlanta Hawk team that's 43-10 at the All-Star break without multiple All-Stars, can you? Kyle Korver, brother, I love you. I really do, but he should not have an All-Star to his name. It's folks out here just accolade watching and trying to use number of Pro Bowlers as a way to judge the talent level of this team, when we knowing the All-Star game or the Pro Bowl do not and have not actually contain the real best players every season. People out here trying to tell me because Carolina had more Pro Bowlers or All-Pros that make them a better, more talented team than the 24 Philadelphia Eagles. Y'all already knowing the league best offensive line, the receivers, running back that team possessed, but these niggas is out of their minds. You watch Carolina from that year and it's overly apparent why they were that good. It baffles me how y'all don't like that man so much that you'll come on the internet lying about him at his best. But that's enough of that. 2016 was dreadful, you know. in so many ways. The team was buns. Cam had to have had quite a bountiful hit on his head because niggas was trying to kill him. And Denver got right to it off the ripper week 1 in the Super Bowl rematch. Them boys was leaping head first into my dog cranium, and the refs wasn't calling a thing. It was so bad that it really had ignited the conversation about quarterback safety. Atlanta tried their hand in week 4 too. It was just all bad. And this season kicked Cam's shoulder troubles up a few notches. He played through it, but there were some real shaky moments, boy. Took care of it going into 2017, and the awful efforts of the season granted them the 8th pick that Carolina loved oh so much. And they made a move I strongly detested at the time. I was pissed. Turned out pretty well though. The combo of a rookie CMC, Cam, and J. Stu was nice. Cam led the team in rushing yards and tied with Stewie in rushing tuds this year. This season will forever get nothing but respect from me. 1, cause he beat Brady again in his house. But 2, that wild card performance against New Orleans genuinely may be the best game I've ever seen Cam play. Man, he was throwing lasers, oh my God. But when I tell people the organization wasn't doing him justice and he was really like that, people would call me stupid, but you wasn't there for moments like this. Cause he out here gotta slang the rock to Kalen Clay. Do you know who Kalen Clay is? Doubt it. He did win us that Jets game off the punt return though, I give him that. But Cam perfectly hit him in the end zone and he just don't catch the ball. Devin Funchess just ain't wanna catch the ball. I said it so many times over the years, dawg, that watching Panther football done made me forget what real good football look like. Cause it don't be stuff like this. Whatever though, despite his efforts, Carolina came up short, season ended, blah blah, whatever. 2018 don't even make me mad, bro. It really made me wanna cry. Cause I promise you, fool, every problem that folks had with Cam, we want him to be more quarterbacky. Make the right plays the easy play. Whatever issue you had, it was resolved. Norv Turner came in that summer, and the talking points of the offseason were literally that. We ain't want or need for Cam to be Superman no more. That game changes so often. He's shown a great ability to manage the game many a times in the past. Let's rein it in and do that more often. Cause finally, alas, you start seeing some good playmaking weapons come through. This was DJ Moore's rookie year. Had a young Kurt starting to emerge as this versatile and efficient weapon. And McCaffrey making it be known that he a real star. Be the smart QB that you are, whether people want to admit it or not. Diagnose pre and post snap, and get your playmakers to rock and let them do the work. First half of that season was the best start Cam ever had. 1,893 yards on a 67% completion percentage. 19 total tuds to only 4 picks. It was wondrous. Carolina's offense was humming. They were a genuine threat recognized league-wide. A 6-2 start had me talking crazy, boy, Jesus. Then you get to November 8th, 2018. Thursday night football, a meeting between 2 of the better teams in the game at that moment. And Jesus Devontae Christ, my dogs got thoroughly blasted in front of the world. And with that came a moment that the franchise still ain't really recovered from. TJ Watt eviscerated Cam's shoulder and everything fell apart from there. Cam's shoulder was about ready to fall off the bone. And the Panthers ain't win another game until a useless draw in week 17. A 6-2 start turned into 7-9. He tried to fight through the pain, but he wasn't good. It led to another offseason shoulder surgery. And bro, the little bit of 2019 Cam Newton was disgusting to watch. His mechanics looked unnatural. He missing throws badly. It was over. A list franking his foot ended the season and basically his career. His Patriot tenure, I'm not talking about that. Even though it wasn't the worst, but and his return to Carolina does not get talked about in my household. It never happened. It was an amazing, near tear-jerking moment, but it wasn't nothing more than a moment. Just like the Bobcats, its existence gets no acknowledgement from me. So as I've said earlier on in this dissertation, I have and never will claim that Cam was perfect. I'll be completely honest about him and his career. You feel me? Is he a Hall of Famer? Nope. I know he ain't making it, and that's cool. He had inconsistencies, yes. There were times, specifically earlier on in his career, that he ain't come through as needed in the clutch. But man, Jerrell Newton was a really, really good quarterback who for years had to do so much to compensate for the lack of talent around him. And by the time the team finally was starting to do him right, everything fell apart. What hurts is knowing and having seen all the men did for the team, for the city, playing through countless injuries, trying to live up to that Superman moniker. The heights he led them to which weren't seen before, and show ain't even been sniffed since. Just for many to call him some kind of quitter or bad leader really because of one play, it sucks. Probably a bit overrated in some circles and underrated in others to the point I just call it disrespect. But for as long as I live, I promise you on everything I won't let nobody disrespect my quarterback. Hope y'all did enjoy this one. Like I said, the Cam Newton John really been something I wanted to make several different times, but the things that I done seen over the past week or two, I couldn't sustain it. It is what it is though. I know what I seen from Cam, and I know the joy, entertainment, and excitement that he brought to the game while he was doing what he do. Like I said though, hope y'all did enjoy this one. I know this one gonna absolutely be the most lengthy video on the channel to date. So if you did make it to the end, I love you, and I appreciate it. If you enjoy, leave me a little like, drop any kind of thoughts that you got in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and I'm gonna see y'all real soon in my next one.